Welcome back to another episode of Parent Involved. My name is Jamie. I'm your host, and this is the fourth official episode. So, guys, thank you for joining today. And if you guys don't know already, I'm on Instagram at parentinvolved_pod. I'm also on TikTok. So, thank you guys for joining. So if you guys don't know what this channel is about, it is definitely about being a parent and involved in your children's lives. I have 3 children that range all the way from pre-K all the way up to a high school graduate. So she'll be going off to college. So definitely there is a big range. So I have had a lot of experience, and I'm just going to share some thoughts and conversations with you guys that I feel some may wonder about or just providing some experience from my point of view. So guys, this episode is pretty much about just being involved with your kids as far as their everyday activities, extracurricular. When should you put them in extracurricular? I have found that I started pretty early with my firstborn, which is now 18 years old. We started off with the YMCA. That was the way that I was able to put her in basketball starting around 4th grade. Being a single parent from pretty much the beginning, that was pretty much what I could afford at that time. So around 4th grade, that's where I was able to afford and understand how to manage my time more by working and then making sure she had the time to do something outside of just school and being at home. With the YMCA, it was parent volunteer with the coaches. So if your child was on the team, they would send an email out, are you interested in volunteering to be a coach? At that time, I definitely was not being, working. I didn't have the time put towards actually coaching. And so I decided that first time experience getting her involved in 4th grade that I was not going to be one of the coaches. So signed her up. And then, once she got signed up, that's when she would go to practice just once a week. Once a week she would practice, and then they would have a game that weekend. So I think it was up to the parent that decided to be the coach, and they would basically pick out the schedule. So that experience was I think that's when I realized, I wanted to make sure that my child, and then once I had more children, that I wanted to make sure they had the experience or they were able to experience different sports or even just different activities, because that's not the only thing that I put her in. I definitely put her in. We tested out music, singing. That was another thing that it wasn't free. So it was outside of school. So usually things that are outside of school, they're not usually free. With the YMCA, once I got my daughter involved in the YMCA, I pretty much continued on all the way up until she was able to join an actual school, which wasn't until middle school. Normally, the school doesn't have teams until about 7th grade. So as soon as she was able to try out for the team, she passed the tryouts because she had already started since 4th grade. So she had a little bit of experience. She knew, the basics. Not to double dribble, not to travel. So she already had that. I think that pretty much helped her. But usually 7th grade, they're really lenient. A lot of kids are just getting started. And even if they didn't have outside experience, it's really how they feel on the court, or are they enthusiastic about it, is what I saw. So after that phase of the YMCA, we went ahead and she joined the school team, the middle school team. I had my son around that time. So around when she was in 4th grade, that's when I had my son. And then when he turned around 3, that's when I put him in the YMCA. So for him, he did try multiple sports. At 3, that was really young, I feel. But he was very active and he did listen. At times, sometimes with the basketball, he was very active. He loved to do cartwheels back when he was between like 3 and 5. He was very just energetic and did not like to sit still. So that's why I put him in extracurriculars, just trying to get him to burn the energy pretty much. We all want the kids to burn energy, to exercise, anything to make sure they go to sleep at night, because we don't want them wired up when it's time for us to sleep and we got to go to work the next day. So that's pretty much what happened. He tried basketball, t-ball. He also tried soccer during that time. And then that's kind of how I saw which ones he liked best. I kept on putting him in different sports just to kind of see where his passion was, because I didn't want to just push a sport off on him. It was something that I felt like if he liked it, he asked about it after we left or during the week. He was like, when the next time I got to go to practice? That was something that I felt if he did that, then he would want to continue. So it was a little bit different for my daughter. I mean, the money situation was different. I was a teen, so when I had my firstborn, and so I went to the military a few years after she was born, and then it was a little bit, I was trying to find a job on the side. So it was a lot different with my firstborn versus my middle child, because I was trying to get established more with my firstborn. With my secondborn, I think I was more already established or getting there, and then I was making the money I needed to, or I felt I was comfortable with making, in order to put them, pay for those extracurriculars and get them more involved. And then also the schedule. So finding the right job definitely helps when you're trying to manage your schedule to be there for your kids. Because if you're working, I did have one of those jobs at Sprint. So I used to work for Sprint phone company, which is now T-Mobile, because T-Mobile bought them. But I used to work for Sprint at the call center. And if anyone knows what a call center is like, they have different shifts. You have shift bids, and it's like 6 to 8 months, your shift is changing. It was never like, okay, Monday through Friday, you got 8 to 5. It was never that. I don't think I ever had an 8 to 5 until, I got my current job. But that kind of made it difficult. The babysitting thing, if a lot of you guys already know about it, is very, very expensive. I don't know what happened, but I mean, just over the years, when you go, if you call and you get a quote, it's ridiculous. I mean, they're asking for what you pay in rent, like a rent amount for the month. They're asking for that for childcare, and it's not like they're living there. They're there, Monday through Friday, or whatever your shift is normally, but they're there, it's like regular school. So it's kind of really a rough situation that I've experienced, especially with my firstborn. That's where I experienced it the most. And that's the reason why I used to have my family with me. My cousin lived with me off and on. My brother lived with me off and on. And it was just always, I needed support from a family, because I was a single parent, and I just, that was who I had around me. Like, I lived so many different places that I needed the support moving around when I was first, getting out there in the military, fresh in the military. Even with those checks, it definitely was not enough to just be working full time, and then childcare and any kind of extracurricular. It was really out of the question when it comes to, you have to choose. It's either make sure your kids have, what they need, the necessities, if you want to do anything extra, and then it was pretty much, there's no extra money on the side to pay. I think with YMCA, it was about $100 or so for the whole month, for like a 4-week or a 4-6 week program. So, right now with inflation, that might not sound a lot, because that was back then. So she was in the 4th grade. Now, of course, she's 18. So it was still pretty expensive. That's kind of what I can say. It was pretty expensive, even though. So, it was pretty expensive, even $100 or so. If you don't have it, it's a lot. It's a lot of money. So I've experienced it. I've experienced that when she was younger. But after a while, you work, and then you move up, because when you get a job, even with, Sprint, when I worked for Sprint, definitely I was moving up. So I think I was like a tech support, and then I went to advanced tech support. So it was like I was in positions where I could move up, and that's where, whenever I got more money, I was able to see, okay, I want to make sure that, it's not just go to school, come home, and we're at home, there's nothing else for us to do. Or if we do, we go into the park. She was getting older, so had to incorporate some extra activities outside of just going home, going to the park, anything, even swimming, go swimming. Like, I wanted to put more structure in there where she can experience actual other things. After that, once I realized, once I got in a better position, that's how you kind of figure out, you have to keep track. This extra money I can leave to the side for this, and this. And that's kind of how I started to look at it, like the bigger picture. Okay, so I have a raise and now I'm getting this extra per check. So what am I going to do with it? I've always been a numbers person as far as when it comes to money, because I don't like math. I'm not a math person, but I'm a money person. So I guess you could say finance, but I'm not equation type person. Like I don't like I don't like equations. I don't like quadratic formulas, like all that, the formulas. I don't know. It's not really, if you're not going into engineering or something that requires it, I don't think you should have to learn it, to be honest. It's just definitely, it's difficult. So anyway, so with the money part, I'm always, I worked at Walmart at one point where I was a cashier, started out, but then I actually moved into, it's called, I can't even remember what it's called, but it's a room where you go into and you count the cashiers, you balance out all of their cash registers. So you balance out their cash registers. So I did that. I was under 20. So I got promoted. That was after high school, I went to Walmart and I was cashier, and then I got promoted to go into that position. It was like an overnight position, and the morning you go ahead and balance all the registers after everyone is closed out. So that was what I did, and that's kind of where I got the money part thing from. And I was typing, keyboards. You have to learn to type the numbers in fast on a register, on a calculator, and that's pretty much why I'm a numbers person even to this day. So yeah, with the cashier, that's where, I realized balancing is important. You have to know how much you start with, and then, after everything that you've paid for or that you're gonna be paying for monthly, I put my children into the extracurriculars. It was a monthly fee, so I had to incorporate that. And that's kind of how, that's pretty much how budgeting works. You have to know what's going out and compare that to what's coming in order for you to see the final. And I mean, whenever I think of budgeting, I learned along the way, but you have to definitely include everything, even those possibles, like the entertainment. Like if you want to go to the movies, you have to have a budget or an actual section for that on your budget list, because if not, then it's really not you budgeting. Because it's easy to go over that budget if you don't incorporate those what ifs. I feel like I want to go to the movies, I need to have an extra to the side so I can go to the movies. I'm not a good budgeter. I won't say that I'm good at it, but whenever I sit down, which I try to do at least once a month, I just try to, sit down and see where I'm at, which is not a good thing. You should be trying to pre-do your budget list instead of after the fact. And that's kind of usually, I'm in the middle. I usually try to do it. Okay, this is how my next month is going to look. This is how this month or last month looked. So it works a little bit. I mean, I'm not perfect at it, but that's how it has been easy for me. Because I know some parents out there, especially with what's going on now, it's hard to even have that kind of money or even think about having that side money to put into that extracurricular. But I will say that I do think that it's definitely beneficial. I mean, if you are that type of active person and you want to take them out and do things on the regular, like swimming, you guys go out, twice a week swimming. You're teaching them the strokes or whatever, just something that's to help them learn a skill. That's the importance of it all. That's kind of what this topic was about, is just, when or why should you incorporate extracurricular activities? And I mean, they learn a lot. They learn, structure. They learn to listen. They learn how to pay attention and how to follow directions. And I think that's important, not just in that sport, but everyday life, of course. If they're going to get a job, if they're going to learn a new skill in the future, even with the business, if they're going to start their own business, they have to be able to sit down, learn, listen, and they have to follow the directions, or, it doesn't really work out. You can't just wing it. That's a lot of people. I know a lot of people that do that now. So definitely winging it is not going to do it in this life. You got to have a plan. So I think the extracurriculars definitely help with that. So my firstborn, she did basketball. She did some singing. We did some singing classes, and she did do some piano, but it was really not consistent with her. And I do think a lot of it had to do with where I was financially. Because if you're not financially stable, you just don't have it to continue it on. Because it is something that it's not just, oh, you took it a few months, so you got the experience, you know how to do this. It is something that's ongoing. If they choose a sport that they want their skills to improve, it's something you have to do. You have to invest in. And I think when you see those like really good basketball players or, just really good swimmers, I think I can't speak for all of them, but I think a lot of it does have to do with when they get that extra, that one-on-one or that professional, like with basketball AAU. So AAU helps to take them to the next level instead, like I said, with YMCA, it was more of a parent volunteering. And then even I had volunteered one year, because like I said, from 4th grade to 7th grade, she was doing YMCA. So she did YMCA and then they had another one similar to YMCA, which it was still parent volunteer. So I actually one year I volunteered and my son, I think he was 2 at the time, but I volunteered. I played basketball 2 years in high school, and I really liked the sport. Just watching it, I know a lot about it, but it was just pretty much just coaching them on things. I had to look it up though, because I'm not a professional. So, but I knew a little bit to be the coach, and we did make the championship. We was top 2. And we lost the finals, though. We lost the finals. And then you know what happened? I'm gonna tell my little story, because I was like, man, I should have taught them how to play offense against a zone defense. And that's what it was, that team. And I still remember, because it was upsetting to me that we made it that far. We was winning every single game. And then, we had some good players in this one. It was boys and girls together. So we had 2 girls, my daughter and another girl, and then the rest were boys. So it was just a really good team. I mean, they were already good. So, it was good for me because I wasn't a professional coach, I was just a parent, volunteer, to fill a seat and to guide them and prep them for the next game. So they were already pretty good. I had some tall, this was, I think was it 6th grade? Probably towards the final, towards her last few years of playing. So it was definitely an experience. But I mean, just like that when you do that type of sport with a parent, we're just teaching you guys the basic, but when you have an actual coach out there that you've been training with for years, one-on-one, they take you to the next level. That's going to be, of course, most of the time it's going to cost some money. And those are a little bit higher than just, the YMCA local communities. So after that, I will say that, my daughter played high school. She was on the freshman team. And then, we had COVID. So she was out 10th grade year. But when she came back, 11th grade, she definitely got back involved. And then it was her last year. She did win city section. So helped her, in her last year of basketball all the way from, 4th grade. She's been playing, just loving the game. And so definitely my point to it all is that when you have your children, it's important to find what they love, what they're passionate about. My middle child, which he's right now in swimming, but it's just that's the type of thing. He tried a lot of different sports, basketball. He's already expressed flag football, starting off with flag and then doing some football, but I'm against it just because of the type of head injuries. I'm not really a fan of, this is my son, and a lot of people, they're okay with it, toughen up boys. I'm not really into, I think there's a lot of different things that you can have a child do, so there's so many sports, art, crafts, all kinds of things. I don't just limit him. Oh, you have, try sport. He's in acting, singing. He does a lot of different extracurricular. And I think just finding where his passion lies, that's most important. And, it might be football. We won't know, until he gets a little older, where I guess, we'll see. I'm not going to hold him back forever, but, while he's young, it's definitely my duty as his mother to make sure, if I can, prevent, any broken anything or any concussions, if I can. Of course, other sports you can get concussed. Swimming, of course, I'm not saying, I'm just trying to put a shell on them, but it's just my preference. Everyone has their preference, of course. Everyone's different, so don't shoot the messenger. That's just how I feel personally. And of course, you guys can feel any way that you feel whenever you're choosing what sport you want to invest in to, see if they like it and see if they'll progress or see if they'll grow a passion for it. So with my youngest, it's 4 years old. And, with her, we've already tried swimming and ballet. She just let me know today that she want to get back into ballet because we took a break, which the reason why is, and this is important too, is I found that she was not listening every time. We would go and then she'd do circles while she's supposed to stand there, and she was 3 at the time. We first got her in when she was 3. So what I said was, okay, when you turn 4, we'll try it again. And actually we didn't try it again, but she's about to be 5 now. So I'm like, okay, maybe she'll be, more attentive to when it's time to listen. Cause it was only, 30, 45 minutes. So I didn't want to just punish her for not listening. So I just took her out. Let's take a break. That's pretty much what it was. Let's take a break. And the same thing happened with my son with basketball. He wasn't very attentive. And that was one of the things, it would hurt him. When it was time for a game, he had to sit out because, he wasn't listening or he had talked during practice. And I was like, well, if it's not working, I'm not going to waste my money. And that was important. I don't want to waste my money. So pretty much, you guys, that's how I figure, you got to figure it out as you go. I don't say you did this, so you're not playing no more sports. No, it's not that. It's we're going to try it later or we'll try something else because I still want them to be, each and every one of them, I want them to find something that they're passionate about because at the end of the day, you never know, what they grow up to be. I don't want to just guide a child to just one path. I'm hoping that they'll have options. And that goes for my oldest. When she was younger, it was lawyer. Okay, let's focus on a lawyer, then you be a judge. And the people that make the laws. It was important for me at that time. But, over the years, after asking her, I think when she got in high school, that's when she said, I'm going to be a doctor. And I'm like, what? We've been saying all these years you're going to be a lawyer. And she was like, no, I don't think so. I'm like, okay. A doctor is not too far off. So I was fine with that. I think anything that she would have decided, it was pretty much, well, let's look at it. That's how whenever she bring it up, she thought about cosmetology. She thought about hair. And that's kind of the thing, they're trying to find what they want to be. So it's important to make sure that we let them experience different things. Because with hair, she doesn't want to stand up all day. And, that's the type of thing. Like, we have to give them the knowledge, even though they're growing and they have to learn it on their own. I mean, we as parents being involved, which that's what this channel is about, being involved. But we as parents have to help them. We have to help them with getting that knowledge and guide them to getting that knowledge. So, that was pretty much what this episode was about, just extracurriculars, how it's going to help them in the future to choose what they're going to do with their lives or just to have options. That's really what it's about, making sure they have options. It's not just the one path. Even if they change their mind later on, it's definitely, at least they know that, I've tried this. I'm going to try to do this, more. I'm going to try to be better. I want to try to make it in the league. So whatever it is that they decide, at least we aided and helped them instead of it just being, go do your homework, good night, bye, go eat dinner or see you later. It was more of just being involved. It's more to it, I think, definitely. So if you guys have any questions, definitely reach out to me on Instagram in my direct messages. That's going to be at parentinvolve_pod. I want to do an episode where I answer questions for you guys, even maybe live streams in the future. Also, follow me on YouTube if you're not already, or TikTok at Parent Involved for both. That way you guys can see the video side. If you want to see clips, if you're more visual, you can see that. And then also don't forget to listen to me every Tuesday at 7 a.m. Pacific time. I will upload new episodes weekly. So thank you guys for listening in. You guys have a great day.